Hi, thanks for tuning in to Armor of God. As always, let me start the video by saying thank you so much to all of you for taking the time to watch the videos we've put together so far, and I hope you've learned a lot from what we've put together here. And so this is going to be another very interesting compilation as it gives us more insight about the reality of spiritual warfare that's currently going on at the moment. Well, I've shared in the past from various exorcists where they said the devil hates Mary, and he's scared of Mary, not because she's a god or anything of the sort, but rather because of her humility and obedience. If you haven't listened to it, please check it out. But there's another person that the devil hates as well, other than God, of course. And do you know who that is? St. Michael. Here it is, Father Chad Ripperger explaining it.
There's also, developing specific devotions to saints and asking for their protection. Obviously, Our Lady, she has perfect coercive power over demons. It's perfect. I mean, it's so perfect, she doesn't even have to say something to get a demon out. In fact, numerous times when people have been liberated during sessions that I've experienced, Our Lady will appear to the person. I usually don't see it, but I can tell something's happening. Our Lady will appear, Our Lady will simply come. The person sees Our Lady appear. The abyss opens up. The person feels the demon being ripped out of them. It goes down into the abyss, and it closes up, and she disappears. That's the kind of power that she has. They will literally say, when you invoke her names, they're like, no, not her, because they're afraid of her, because she has perfect coercive power. Now, she never uses it aside from God's will. She could come any time. In fact, she's so powerful, she could just literally wipe all the demons out from the face of the planet, but that's not God's will, so she won't do it. But what God's will is that we develop a devotion to her and become dependent upon her and ask her to wrap us in her mantle to protect us and that type of a thing. Obviously, St. Michael, because of the fact that he cast Satan out of heaven and into hell. And Satan has a particular loathing for him, not just because he kicked him out of heaven, but because he was of lower rank. Satan, of course, was the highest angel created, and his fall was very precipitous. I mean, it was he went down to the depths, right? And so the fact that a lower angel in rank basically commands and has authority over him is extremely humiliating. Also, Our Lady is very humiliating because she crushes his head. And that crushing the head is the place of pride, right? So the fact that she crushes it means she repeatedly humiliates him. Right? And again, that's another reason why they don't like anything that has to do with humility, because they don't like humiliation. It's not the thing they hate. The thing they hate the most is loss of power. At this stage, they've lost everything but power. And so they'll do anything. I mean, they'll practically sing the Tantum, but they won't want to lose power they have over somebody. It's on that level.
For the following clip, what Father Ripperger shared here is both illuminating and confirms what has been said many times by other exorcists as well. Some demons are quiet, while some are loud, obnoxious, and love to make jokes. But the reason behind those noise and jokes is what interests me most.
There's different kinds of possession. Some are very violent, some are very, very quiet. The demons don't do anything. Or they may not even say anything. They may be mute spirits. There's some that won't shut up. You say, and it's always to distract. They have all sorts of different kinds of personalities. You get a hold of one that's constantly cracking jokes, and unless you have some serious discipline, they're pretty good at it. And it's all a distraction. It's all the goal is to drag it out. Now, why do they want to drag it out? Well, basically it comes down to this. The beating you have to give them has to exceed or be worse than what's in hell. That's basically what it boils down to. So, what they'll do is they'll constantly try to distract you to drag it out. Why do they drag it out? Well, the reason being is because, remember, this pain of loss that they suffer. It's not as bad for them suffering that pain of loss when they have the distraction of possessing somebody or influencing somebody, because it gives them a bit of a distraction, gives them a bit of delight, and so it mitigates their suffering. And so the last thing they want to do is go back to hell, because then they're back into their complete loneliness, which they had before. Even though they're making the person's life miserable, they would prefer to do that, have that company of making their life miserable, than actually being in hell alone. The other thing is, too, is as soon as it's broken, then the ridicule in hell they have to face. Now, if they manage to get the person to commit suicide, they get praise in hell. But if they don't, If they're booted out, or if they lose the possession, then they get ridiculed by the other demons in the process, and so that's one of the reasons they don't want to do it. You can have more than one demon possessing an individual. There can literally be thousands. Usually, as I mentioned, there's usually 1 to 5, 7 maybe. And there's always a head demon, and he always puts the lowest demon in the front for fodder, except initially. Initially, he wants to be in the driver's seat. But as soon as the exorcist starts to stuff, he puts the little one out front and lets him take the beating. So, and if you beat up on him long enough, usually he'll cough up the information about who the head demon is. So, only because of the fact that the ridicule and beating up he'll take from the head demon is as bad as what you're meeting out on. So he'll eventually cough up the information. So that's normally with diabolic possession, that's the normal way it's broken, is through exorcism on the side of the priest. Normally it's solemn. As soon as I find out someone is possessed, then I'll continue doing private exorcisms to give the person who's afflicted some relief. But then immediately I'll seek faculties. For obsession cases, I never seek faculties because it can usually be broken on its own without any particular difficulties. Diabolic obsession. And when a person is possessed, there's all sorts of things that you have to put them on a regimen of prayer and that type of thing, because then there's certain things you have to find out about their life to make sure they're not doing anything to cause the possession or cause its continuance. Very often people have to give up. There's a vast majority of the people possessed who come to be liberated come to a juncture. They come to a point where they're told, okay, this is what they're holding on to find out what the cause is. This is an attachment you have. Not always, not in all cases. There are some that are possessed through no attachment on their own. God just allows the demon to remain there until the specific things in their life is worked out. But in many cases, it's because a person's holding on a particular sinful kind of behavior or a particular thing that's disorder. And so they'll get to a certain point and they'll say, you have to give this up.
In the last clip, Father Ripperger touched briefly about demonic obsession, and so I thought I'll include this as well from Msgr Stephen Rossetti.
Well, here's something that a religious and priests might want to note, which I found interesting, that there's more demonic obsession than I realized. Now, what demonic obsession is that Satan gets into your head, and he really... Now, we all can be a little bit scrupulous and all that sort of stuff, but when Satan gets involved, can be very intense thoughts. And here's the typical satanic message in obsessions. You're basically evil. God doesn't care about you. There's no hope for you. You're full of anger and blasphemy, and you might as well just kill yourself. So these sort of, and the very typical demonic obsessions. And we have a number of priests that we prayed over, and religious, by the way, and they had this terrible stuff going on in their head, and it seemed outsized compared to their psychological weaknesses. Said this is not looking right. So this is more than something psychological. And so we pray over the guy or the woman, and after about 6 to 9 sessions, it's surprisingly how those demonic obsessions, almost, they don't go away completely because of the psychological problems, but I'd say 70% of it disappears.
And now for the last part of this video, I'll leave you with this very beautiful message, as well as an important reminder from one of our favorite exorcists here, Msgr Rossetti. And I must say, I just love the way he says Jesus' name.
When discerning what's truly good and what's not, or what's evil, a phrase in the Bible is very important. By their fruits, you shall know them. So when we look at something which might appear to be good, but as it spins out, if it's not, it'll show by their evil fruits. Frankly, this has been our experience of witchcraft. We've had a number of people come to us who practice witchcraft, and as they go farther and farther into it, they might start out saying, oh, I'm a good witch, I'm a white witch, but it leads more and more into darkness. Anger, isolation, feeling victimized, darkness, depression. It leads down the dark path. And even when they try to do it, say, I've seen witches try to bless people. Some people say, I go to the witch for healing. After they go to these curanderos, these healers, it turns out that the problems are even worse. Again and again. And when you talk to witches who used to be in the occult and converted and left, they'll tell you that they intended to do good, but that's not what happened. And what's the lure of witchcraft? To feel like you're in control, to exercise some power. And unfortunately, this is an illusion. And they tell you that. We thought we were in control, we thought we were exercising power, but it was an illusion. And what Satan does, it keeps tempting you more and more, just a little bit more, a little more into witchcraft, bigger spells, whatever, and it's going to work, and you'll control your future, and you'll be great benefits. It doesn't happen. And at the end, as one former witch told me, in the end, everyone gets bit by the demons that are actually they're employing, whether they know it or not. A good story, a friend of mine, a priest, was on an airplane and he wasn't wearing his clerics, and there's a young woman next to him, and she said to him, what do you do? He said, I'm a Catholic priest. She said, oh. She said, I'm just like you, I practice witchcraft. And he looked at her and said, you and I are not the same. There is a difference. Let me tell you what the difference is. I, as a human being, exercise no authority power of my own. But as priest and as Catholic Christian, we invoke the power of Christ. It is His promises, His power, and it is His work, Him working through us. Jesus is Lord, and Jesus is the Son of God. And this one God, this Creator, is the power of the universe. Witchcraft, on the other hand, they try to exercise a power on your own. I can do this on my own. I can invoke this sort of sometimes pagan gods or my own feminine power or whatever. Yeah, but it's an illusion. In the end, I'm sorry to say, there's no other power in the universe for good except the Lord alone. And anything else comes from the evil one. So turn to the Lord. All of us want to exercise a good kind of power, a good authority that the Lord gives us to bless, to have His healing power flow through us, to find joy and happiness. And that's what the Lord offers to us. Witchcraft won't do that. I'm sorry, it won't. But Jesus will. Have you ever seen a really holy person, a beautiful, holy Christian? They radiate God's joy and peace. So my prayer for you is you would find the Lord in your own life, that you would radiate God's joy and peace, and be a blessing for all those around you. And may God indeed bless you.
Well, that is all for the video this time. I hope you've learned a lot from this. I know I have when I was putting them together, listening to the audio clips over and over again while editing the subtitle. Anyway, if there's any suggestion or feedback, please do let me know in the comments below. And I just want to let you know, if you have your own channel that needs a shout out or anything that's related to Christianity, a book, a t-shirt that you're selling online, just let me know and I will help out where I can by sharing them on the community post on this channel or on my other channel, Daily Inspiration. There's no cost involved, so don't hesitate to let me know if you want me to help out. Just as long as it's not promoting witchcraft or anything that goes against what our faith teaches, I'm more than happy to help out. Anyway, for those of you who'd like to support our works, I left a link to our PayPal donation in the description box below, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for your continuous support, contribution, and prayer. Until the next time, stay safe, stay healthy, and God bless you.